2016 season is over for another year, and once again the journey for our new champions wasn't an easy one, but they were crowned before the final race of the season. There were 18 races on the calendar in 2016, but let's take a look at some of the best moments of the season through the eyes of the riders, starting with the MX2 class and the first GP in Qatar.
I reckon in Qatar, it was the first race of the season, and to come there, everybody high expectations, definitely. I was the title favorite, but still everything had to be done. I came from 2 serious injuries, breaking the femur and dislocating the hip, so it was tough, also mentally to get back from that, but we came back strong. We went 1-1 on the weekend for first overall, so it was a promising start of the season.
After winning race 1, Jeffrey Herlings was in fine form, but Benoit Paturel fell from 7th whilst trying to keep up with Jeremy Siwa and Alexander Tonkov. These two were battling over 5th place. Eventually, the 91 of Jeremy Siwa found his way past the Russian to take over 5th in what was quite a heated contest for the first race of the season. But Jeffrey Herlings went on to win the moto and take the overall Grand Prix victory. The perfect start to the season for the Bullet. Second overall in Qatar was Dylan Ferrandis, with Pauls Jonas rounding out the podium in 3rd. For the 4th year in Thailand, the riders were invited to the official launch of the 2016 MXGP race in Suphanburi. During this evening, they could discover the food, the way to cultivate the rice, and of course the roots of Thailand in the Living and Soul of Thailand Farmers Learning Centre. During the qualifying race in MX2, one of the title favourites went down, and it was a gift for Jeffrey Herlings, who stayed out of trouble all weekend for another perfect score.
In the qualifying race, in a big wave section, I lose the control of my rear wheels and make a big mistake and hurt the wave really bad, and I dislocate my right shoulder.
But that was only the start of it. In race 1, there was carnage at turn 1, and more before the riders even got to turn 2. A collision going into turn 1 left 3 or 4 guys going off track around the outside. And as they headed down to turn 2, Pauls Jonas tangled with Bernardini, snatched the front brake, sent him over the handlebars, and he was lucky to avoid being collected by other riders. Jeffrey Herlings led the way, but Max Anstey wasn't so lucky. He crashed out spectacularly on his Husqvarna as Samuele Bernardini and Tonkov battled over 2nd. Tonkov went through in 2nd.
In Thailand, when Dylan went down, he was out for a couple of weeks and a couple of rounds, so obviously still it's a shame he got injured, but I think we really made the best of this round, going another 1-1, and it definitely took away some pressure. coming to Europe and coming to Valkenswaard was going to be my home GP, and I never lost a home GP, and then it brought some extra pressure because I really wanted to win that thing, and then it could have been my 50th GP win, which I did, and I made a 50, so I was very thankful for that, and really crushed the competition. Went 1-1 on the day, and definitely second moto, won with over a minute, so that was pretty cool, and very happy about it.
So far, Jeffrey Herlings was unbeaten since the beginning of the season, and the battle behind him was really close in Argentina between Jeremy Seewer and Paul Jonas, especially in race 2.
Yeah, I remember this still really well. Like, it was second moto, and I was pushing for I think third place at that time with Pauls, and somehow in that long right-hander he had a bad line. Yeah, I'm lucky I saved it, and I continued the race and still finished third.
Welcome to Mexico. After a very long-haul journey to get here from Argentina, we're now north of South America with much warmer conditions. In the MX2 class, we can all remember the struggles of Herlings when he raced with a broken femur here and lost the championship 2 years ago. But so far, he seems unbeatable, so he's hoping to make new memories this weekend.
And Jeffrey Herlings did just that by winning both races. Max Anstey, though, had bad luck in race 1 when his bike stopped with 2 laps to go, whilst in second position. But it was another 1-1 for the Bullet, who remained unbeaten, and it was the first ever podium for Sebert Brilyakov on the Kawasaki. He came home third overall. Jeremy Seewer was on the podium again, this time in second position. In Germany, the battle between Herlings and Seewer was the main talking point, especially in race 2. Jeremy Seewer recalls the weekend in Germany.
What I remember the most is when he passed me around the outside on that step-up thing there, and I just could cut left of him and went next to him, and on the next scrub jump I just passed him again. That's what I have in my mind, but the rest of the race I just try to focus on myself. And we catched up like Ferrandis and Paturel. That was my goal, to pass them, and then finally he could pass me, but he was a little bit faster in the end, but that's how it was, and I think we made a great race there.
After 1 or 2 warning signs, Jeffrey Herlings finally had to taste defeat after a titanic battle in race 1 at Trentino.
In Trentino with Dylan Ferrandes was a pretty nice battle to see, but he's always been a little bit of a dirty rider. But at the same time, that battle was pretty clean. It's the first time I lost a moto. Obviously, he went 2-1 on the day for first overall, but he was really good that moto. atmosphere in France is always very, very special. But always you got some good friendships, you know, like this year Benoit Patureau was very good there. He almost even won first moto, but I closed in first moto. You know, I had a really tough start of that moto. You know, came actually second or third through the first turn, but just it either rained or it just got watered pretty much. And you know, Benoit was riding really good, so he made up to like a 10-second lead and I had to really close that thing in, and that's what I did and managed to win first moto. And then second moto, after the gate dropped, he just went all the way to the right. I was almost in the pit lane, but I fought my way back from place 20 to first, and I think at that track to do that, it's pretty gnarly and pretty tough.
In race 1, Conrad Muse on the 426 ran third early on before finding his way back to fifth after getting passed by Jeremy Seewer, who made his way to third. Hurlings was still dominant though at Matterley Basin, but the battle behind him for third was a really close one between Seewer and Jonas. The two young riders gave everything until the last lap of each race. In race 1, it was Seewer who finished ahead of Jonas, and in race 2, Seewer fell on the final lap, and it was Jonas who got to stand on the third step of the podium behind Jeffrey Hurlings and Dylan Ferrandis. At the Czech Republic, Jeffrey Hurlings wasn't there after picking up a broken collarbone, but there was still some great racing for the fans to see. We expected to see another big Seewer-Jonas battle, but in race 1, after taking a hole shot, Paul's Jonas crashed out heavily on the downhill double. Fortunately, he only suffered a concussion. The rest of the weekend, though, all eyes were focused on the battle up front between Jeremy Seewer, Dylan Ferrandis, and Max Anstey, the three riders locked together in what was an intense battle for supremacy. But after a tough fight, it was the first ever double victory for Dylan Ferrandis, and it was the Frenchman who got to stand on top of the podium in the Czech Republic.
Just after Mantova, I think 2 weeks after, we once again broke the collarbone on the right side, which I broke also in Tuchentown 2015. The Lommel I went to watch on the Sunday, it's just really hurts you. It's like your heart gets broken and smashed at the same time, you know, being there and not able to defend. It's very, very tough mentally, and but still I was in a healing process, and I think we got back out stronger, and I think we made the right decision at that point.
At Lommel in Belgium, Max Anstey won for the third time on this sand track, but Hurlings was there but still injured. He did still lead the championship though, with 4 rounds to go. MXGP returned to Switzerland for the first time in 15 years. Could Jeremy Seewer put on a show for his fans? Despite a great start, Seewer lost out initially to Max Anstey, but he had the fans on their feet right from the very first lap. Anstey tried to pull away, but Siwa, with dogged determination, fought right back immediately and gave the fans exactly what they wanted. He found his way past the Brit, right in front of the home fans, out-dragging the number 99 on the run-up towards the finish line. The crowd went crazy for Siwa, but he wasn't able to make it stick. He went defensive to the inside. Anstey found his way around the outside and found his way back past to take over the lead. He went on to win the race and the Grand Prix as well. But it was a good effort and great racing from both riders. In the championship chase, Herlings, of course, continued to lead. Siwa's second, Patrol third, Anstey Jonas rounded out the top 5.
MX2, Jeffrey Herlings will make his comeback and will try to win his first ever Assen GP in the sand in front of his home crowd.
For this weekend, Jeffrey Herlings was back, but he had a very bad start to the weekend because his teammate, Jorge Prado, was really fast, and also because of a mechanical issue, and that was just the beginning in qualifying.
Well, the comeback in Assen wasn't great at all. I mean, I was by far the fastest, but even in the morning it started raining, and the track was just flooded with water. And first of all, I'm not a good mud rider, and then being in that start position makes it even more tough. So we still went 2-1 on the day. Second moto, obviously, we started way better and won with a comfortable 30 seconds plus. But first moto, we lost and we went 2-1, but I think we did good after all and we made a lot of points for the championship.
Jeffrey Herlings fell on more than one occasion in the muddy conditions as his teammate led the way. Herlings did find his way past on his way through, but fell again. Unsurprisingly for the Bullet, the fastest rider in the world in the sand. Thomas Covington, though, went on to take victory in race 1, much to the surprise of everybody. And in race 2, Prado led his teammate again and wasn't taking no for an answer. But in the end, Herlings' experience and fitness won out. He was able to find his way through, and he went on to take the checkered flag to take another Grand Prix victory on home soil.
Coming to Charlotte, I knew the championship was on the line, and I knew there was a lot of good Americans, and all those things together brought a lot of pressure. And then it was very tough, but we did very well, I think. Obviously, won first moto, came from somewhere like 5th, 6th, and then worked my way up to the lead, past the top American.
Adam Centrulo fell at turn 1. Austin Faulkner fell later on in the race. Cooper Webb couldn't find his way to avoid his fellow American, and then it was a straight-up shootout between the two fastest 250 riders in the world. Jeffrey Herlings, though, nipped up the inside of the 17 Cooper Webb, took over the lead of the race, went on to take the checkered flag, and with it, his 3rd world title after what's been a tough couple of years for the number 84, Jeffrey Herlings.
First moto, second moto, just didn't have time to prepare. Everybody was just calling, and the press and my fans and family and team, we were just all partying already. And then just second moto, we just went out there. It was like, you know, we were racing, but we weren't prepared anymore. And then obviously,
in race 2, Cooper Webb made hard work for himself. He was outside of the top 20 on the opening lap, but it was Thomas Covington who was up front challenging just inside the top 5. Before long though, Cooper Webb was on the rear wheel of Hurlings. He made that pass to go past the new world champion to go second. Shortly afterwards, he found his way past Austin Faulkner to lead and go on and win his final ever 250 race in front of his home fans. But it was Jeffrey Hurlings who picked up the World Championship crown.
In MX2, the championship was wrapped up with Hurlings being crowned last weekend. Siwa is safe as vice world champion and can't be caught, but the battle for third is still wide open between Benoit Paturel and Max Anstey, with just 12 points between them.
In Glen, Helen, Paturel made things difficult for himself after having a run-in with Sinai. Fortunately for him though, so too did Max Anstey. But Jeffrey Hurlings took another double victory, his 12th of the season, his 61st career Grand Prix victory. In the final championship standings, Jeffrey Hurlings was world champion, Jeremy Siwa second overall, Benoit Paturel third.
I really enjoy to be here in Qatar. Always first round of the season, it's everybody's looking to everyone and don't know what happened. So it's good feeling to be here.
You could almost feel the tension before the drop of the gate for MXGP Race 1. And by the time the riders reached the first corner, it was Evgeny Bobryshev who grabbed the foxhole shot. Behind him, his teammate Gauthier Paulin buried behind Tony Cairoli in around about 8th place. Romain Febvre, the defending champion, got off to a good start and wasted no time getting into third with that pass on Glen Koldenoff as Valentin Guillot, the rookie, fell down on the opening lap. Up front though, it was Bobryshev for HRC Honda, Tim Geiser, his junior teammate over at Garibaldi, and Romain Febvre at the top 3 as Sean Simpson was well placed in 7th on the number 24 KTM. Tim Geiser, the rookie, and the 2015 MX2 World Champion going after Evgeny Bobryshev. And as they jump back onto the start straight, he made this spectacular move to move into the lead on lap 8. Bobryshev tried to keep the 2-4-3 in his sights as Romain Febvre was having a lonely ride in third. In Qatar, winning both races and taking the red plate, in one night, Tim Geiser became a title favourite.
Balkans War was again special for me, you know. Yeah, first race went really good, you know. I take a whole shot and then yeah, lead all the race. What was really important, you know, to take really good start because it was really muddy, you know, really heavy sand, almost one line. So was not racing, was like enduro riding, you know, also over there. But I'm really happy that we win that first race.
In race 2, Cairoli led Febvre. And as Febvre was starting to close in, the Frenchman and defending MXGP champion made a slight mistake. He spun out in this right-hander, handing the advantage back to Antonio Cairoli and his teammate, Jeremy Van Hoorbeek. He picked himself back up. In third, though, and went after the two race leaders. The first rider he needed to find his way past was his teammate, number 89, Jeremy Van Horby. Made light work of the Belgian and then went back after Kai Rowley. The pass eventually came with a couple laps to go. A neat move up the inside of the Sicilian to put the Yamaha rider back in front of the KTM. And Fevre didn't look back after that. He went on to take the checkered flag and the overall victory. Picked up the red plate as well.
In MXGP, the battle between the reigning world champions Geiser and Febvre will continue, with Kai Rowley in a close third. He has 4 Grand Prix victories to his name right here on this racetrack.
Coming into round 6, only 3 points separated Fevre and Geiser, but the 8-time world champion Tony Kai Rowley was still in the game.
Yeah, Latvia actually was like, again a little bit sandy track. I didn't train actually nothing before that race in the sand. And then, first race, we win. It was a nice battle with Tony. And then second race, again, I took really good start. And I started to prepare myself for passing Tony, tried to search for the lines, where I could make a pass. And then on the way forward there was quite sketchy and make mistake, went down over the handlebar. It was quite heavy crash, and then also Max hit me from behind. And I remember still that I was thinking about, it's over for the GP. I could not come on the podium. I make a really good comeback, I finished 4th, so what was enough for winning the Grand Prix over there as well, so I was so happy with that.
When we left Latvia, there was just 1 point between Fevre and Geiser going into Germany.
Actually, that was the race where I took a red plate back. That day, Tony was just too fast for us. I was in the first moto. I was trying all the time. Tried to make pass on him. Actually, one time I did, but then he passed me back, and then I didn't have answer anymore for him. So, Tony was really on fire at that race.
Takes the line away from Kai Rowley. Kai Rowley utilises Geiser's line. Geiser sets an opportunity. What a race this is turning out to be. Wins his first race in almost a year with victory here in race 1 at Toysental, MXGP round 7.
In MXGP, there's only 4 points between Tim Geiser, the surprising rookie, and Roman Febvre, the defending champion, who last year claimed his first ever MXGP podium right here. Kai Rowley is back to his winning ways. He's in shape and showing us all of his skills, having conquered the last 2 GPs. Welcome to Talavera de la Reina for the MXGP of Spain.
challenge from Simpson, he makes a mistake. Oh, Febvre gets hit from behind. Unfortunate there. Oh, and gets hit again by Cairoli. Right in the shoulder blades, and that does not look good for Romain Febvre. Despite riding wounded, Romain Febvre took his place on the grid. In race 2, he found himself battling with fellow Yamaha rider Valentin Guillot over 5th place. Febvre found his way past, over the jump, leading on to the start straight, and then homed in on the 777. The HRC rider, Yevgeny Bobryshev, in the battle for 4th. Found his way past the Russian in exactly the same place he passed Guillot, but it was Tim Gajser who picked up a double moto win, his 2nd double win of the season, to win the Spanish Grand Prix. Great weekend for Gajser, who extended his lead to 24, but for Paulin, who was on the podium for the first time this season, fortunately it was a different story in France.
We got a full team, full complement of riders, so it was pretty good to get Gauthier back and increasing his form, you know. Basically, everything was going really well. From Gauthier's side, obviously leading the qualifying race, then right at the end, lost the front end, went down quite heavily. Obviously, he can't win the World Championship now, but what he can do is he can get on the podium, which, to be honest, we would have been expecting here today in France. But that's the plan for the rest of the season for Gauthier's side, you know, to get back onto the podium and on the podium regular.
Well, Paulin couldn't race in France in front of his fans, but it was a great battle between Gajser and Febvre once more. Gajser won race 1 despite Febvre trying everything he could until the final corner. But in race 2, it was another story. Febvre took the lead early on lap 3, finding his way past Gajser at the top end of the circuit. Cairoli, though, had a bad start and was struggling to come through the traffic. And it was to get worse for the 8-time champ, Cairoli. Another mistake in the closing stages of the race meant he had another fall. But it was Romain Febvre who was on fire and won his home Grand Prix for the 2nd year in a row.
You know, when I started to realize that I could win the championship, that was actually in, it's bad to say, but I think it was in Matele Basin when Roman got injured.
Defending champion Romain Febvre lined up to take his place on the grid in qualifying, and after a tough start where he got squeezed coming out of the start, it was about to get worse. For the 461, he clipped the rear wheel of Ben Townley's Suzuki coming out of this turn, crashed out heavily, and was deemed unfit by the medical staff to partake in the race. He would also miss Mantova in a week's time. After that crash, Gajser knew he just needed to be smart and take advantage of the situation. Chad Reed was a guest at this race as well, but Tim Gajser got the job done, winning both races in front of Nagel and Paulin. Gajser was now 74 points clear of Febvre, with Cairoli just 3 points further back in 3rd.
One of the best races that we did was in Mantova in Lombardia.
I think second race was just amazing for us as a riders, because we have really nice battle, you know, really clean riding as well, and we really enjoy. And also, you know, for the spectators, for the fans, because it was really interesting, because we passed each other like 3 times, and it was really nice race. So I think that's the best memories, the best battles with Tony. And then also when I show him peace on the jump, that was really nice as well.
In Lockett, Febvre was back after 3 weeks off, but this weekend it was Geiser who made the mistakes, and Max Nagel took advantage. He won the first ever Czech Republic GP for Husqvarna, and it was his first Grand Prix victory since Trentino in 2015. Geiser was second overall, and Romain Febvre was third. In Belgium, the sand of Lommel became Suzuki's soil for 2 reasons. First, because Suzuki unveiled an old school design for their bikes, but also because Kevin Strybus won his first ever home Grand Prix. And it was Kevin Strybus's first victory since 2007 in Lierop. The young guns had no answer, but it was another podium for Max Nagel, who came home in second. Cairoli came home in third.
Welcome to Assen for the MXGP of the Netherlands for the 16th round of the FIM Motocross World Championship.
First moto was really tough with the rods and with the sand and with the water on the track and everything. So yeah, I crashed 2 times and was able just to came back 12, I think, something like that. But then second race was much better, you know, I was feeling better. Also the track was in better shape. But then I make yeah, a mistake like I did many times in this season. I broke my front brake and then as well the gas cables, so it was really not possible. So I was really disappointed with that weekend. You know, it was, I think, one of the worst in my all GP career. You know, when I came since 2014.
In race 1 at Charlotte, North Carolina, Tim Geiser wasn't his usual relaxed self, but maintained a top 5 position. An intense end to the first MXGP race. Geiser was just hanging on in there in 4th, but it was Tomac who was victorious from Barsha van Hoorbeek, with Geiser coming home in 4th, and that was enough for him to clinch his 2nd straight title. Last year it was MX2, this year MXGP, the first rider to do it back-to-back in separate classes since Greg Albertine in 92, 93. Tim Geiser, in his rookie season, doing what Romain Febvre did last year. He is MXGP World Champion in his first season.
Yeah, actually I didn't know immediately, because, you know, when I came over there and everybody says to me that I have to go over there, and then everybody was waiting. So I asked someone, what happened? And he said, I'm the champion, and I really realized that, yeah, we did that, and it was just amazing. Then everybody came, you know, like, you see all the faces, you know, like really emotional, really happy, and you know, that's just amazing because we all did that together.
At the final round of the season in Glen, Helen, Eli Tomac was untouchable even after making 2 bad starts. He went on to win both races to make it 4 race wins in a row on American soil. But the 2016 championship had already been decided. We already knew that it was Tim Geiser that was world champion. And once again, it was a rookie who took the title in MXGP.
That just dreams came true, you know. Actually, that was goal, you know. Try to win MX2 and then MXGP, but I didn't think that that will happen so close together, you know. Actually, in just 1 year, to win 2 titles, that's just unbelievable. And you know, I was also a little bit surprised myself. But anyway, you know, we work really hard, and I think we deserve that.
In Maggiora, Italy for the 2016 Monster Energy FIM Motocross of Nations, presented by Fiat Professional.
In MXGP and MX2, it was a flying start for Glen of the Netherlands. He pulled the foxhole shot. Seward was buried in the pack. As the riders headed uphill for the first time, Antonio Cairoli for Italy was right there in second place, behind Koldenhoff of the Netherlands. Cairoli made that pass on Koldenhoff to take over the lead, and Fevre, who was now third, went after Koldenhoff in the battle for second position. And on lap 4, he found his way past the number 16 from the Netherlands. With a clear track, he went after Cairoli, and it was a spectacular move. Around the outside, saw the Frenchman, the defending champion, take over the lead. The race was on, but Fevre was in a class of his own as Jeremy Van Horbik for Belgium charged through the field as he carved his way up towards the top 5. His teammate, Strybos, was having a great ride as well. So too was the number 4 of Cooper Webb. Strybos got himself onto the rear wheel and then eventually found his way past Koldenhoff to get himself in the third, which is where he would finish. But he wasn't able to find his way past Cairoli as Todd Waters, the Australian, fell. He would pick himself up in 7th. Cooper Webb got himself up to 4th. His Fevre, though, was majestic in Maggiora. He went on to win race 1 from Cairoli, Strybos, Webb and Van Horbik. In race 2, the MX2 and Open category, it was the American Jason Anderson, riding number 6, who grabbed the foxhole shot from gate 15. As everybody else jostled for position. Kei Yamamoto was just behind him in second. Borland was just inside the top 5 as Simpson struggled just behind Jeremy Van Horbik for Great Britain. Anderson led, Yamamoto stalled in the right-hander, but everybody else was safely through, including Borland of France. Tonus of Switzerland was in second, Paulin was third, but to his left, the number 18 of Jeffrey Herlings of the Netherlands, who slipped past the Frenchman and into third on the opening lap. He then went after Arnold Tonus, and it wasn't long before he found his way through on lap 3. Brent van Donnik of Belgium found himself crashing out on lap 3 as well. Would eventually come home in 37th as Herlings and Anderson put on a show at the head of the field. The American not taking any nonsense from Herlings, but with a few laps to go, Herlings slipped out, crashed out, went over the bars. He didn't lose any positions, but he did get caught by the pursuing pack that was Tonus, Ferris, who found his way past Paulin, but not for long, because a lap later, Paulin got second wind, found his way past the Australian, pushed him back into 5th, and then went after Tonus. This move came with a sweet move around the outside, with just 4 laps to go, and that was Paulin up to 3rd. Herlings was just too far away for him to have any impact. Great ride though for Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, the lead MX2 rider, coming home in 7th for Belgium. He was just passed by Sean Simpson on the final lap in what was a very tight jostle because of the back marker there in between them as they headed down pit lane. But Herlings, well, he was impressive early on, but not as impressive as the number 6 of Jason Anderson, making his debut appearance for Team USA. He won Moto number 1, but he wouldn't make the start for race 2 because of this incident involving a back marker as he crossed the line. He did eventually get up though, and was just diagnosed with concussion. Coming into the 3rd and final race, the MXGP in open class. Tommy Searle thought he'd grab the foxhole shot, but it was Jeffrey Herlings who just snatched it from him by about a half a wheel. But Team USA were leading the classification, but without Anderson, Cooper Webb was the lone rider for Team USA. He really had a battle on his hands. He could not afford to make a mistake. Cairoli of Italy found his way past Searle and went after Herlings. Herlings also in the hunt for honours at the top of the championship table for the Netherlands, because his teammate was right there as well, with Glen Koldenoff riding shotgun in 4th as Simpson went out for Britain. Cooper Webb had his hands full of Kevin Strybos. Strybos made a move at the bottom of the hill through the final turn to get himself into 5th place. All of a sudden, the Americans were starting to lose their grip at the top of the Chamberlain Trophy. Fevre was putting on a charge. Didn't make a great start, but Strybos was taking no prisoners. 1 or 2 little mistakes though before he settled down on his charge further up the field. All of a sudden, Webb got second wind as well. America were back in the hunt. He found his way past Koldenoff to put America back in the driving seat, but Fevre was closing in fast. Meanwhile, they were both closing in on Tommy Searle. A couple of passes later, and Webb was past Koldenoff. He got himself up into 5th place. And only 3 points separated the Americans, the Dutch and the French going into the final 3 laps. Fevre found his way past Koldenoff in what was an epic second half of the final race. He'd got himself onto the rear wheel of Cooper Webb, and a mistake from either of these two would possibly decide it. All of a sudden, Searle came into play. The back end spun out on Webb. He went crashing down the hill, and Fevre found his way past Tommy Searle on the final lap. Herlings out on his own at the head of the field, but he took the line and the win. Didn't know whether he'd won it or lost it for the Netherlands. Cairoli crossed the line 2nd, Strybos 3rd, and Fevre found his way past Searle to get himself 4th, and that was the vital point that decided it in the final half lap. France, the Chamberlain Trophy winners for the 3rd straight time. It was absolutely epic here at Maggiora Park. France standing on the top step of the podium for the 4th time. Gauthier Paulin, Romain Fevre, Benoit Paturel. The Netherlands on the podium for the first time since 2004, but America beaten into 3rd place after that slight mistake from Cooper Webb with about 2 laps to go. this event just gets bigger and bigger. The final race of the year was the Monster Energy Riders and Manufacturers SMX Cup. The best riders from Supercross and Motocross riding for their brand and for themselves with some serious money on the line. On the first ever motocross track built indoors. First gate drop of the evening, SMX Race 1. Carnage at the first turn as Dennis Ulrich turned right, taking a few riders with him, including Sever Buryakov, Marvin Muscan, but it was a foxhole shot for Tim Geiser, closely followed by Ryan Dungey. Geiser for Honda, continuing to keep his red machine ahead of the American on the KTM. Hurling's got into the side of Fevre, both riders went down. Fevre was quickest to recover as Hurlings had to find his way back past Tommy Searle to get himself back into 5th place. Searle wasn't letting him have it easy though. Searle doing a great job for Kawasaki. But up front it was Ryan Dungey who continued to give chase, and behind him his fellow American Zach Osborne doing a good job for the Husqvarna brand in 3rd. Fevre's Yamaha was 4th, Hurlings on the KTM was 5th. No one was a match for Tim Geiser and Honda in race 1. In the second SMX Cup race, Paulin made a good jump initially but then got squeezed as Tim Geiser took the second foxhole shot award. Hurlings was right with him but then bobbled and fell, leaving 2nd place to Marvin Muscan in the early stages. See the carnage that Hurling's fall caused for different riders as they tried to speed by. Bobryshev got himself into 2nd early, with Fevre in 3rd, Muscan being pushed down to 4th. Zach Osborne was right there as well, just inside the top 5 for Husqvarna. Manufacturers' points on the table, so too individual riders' points as well. Geiser was looking good after winning race 1. Was leading race 2. Marvin Muscan on the charge though. Osborne and Bobryshev got into each other, and it was looking good at the head of the field. Jordi Tixier suffering from a poor start on his way towards 4th, but Geiser ate the dirt. Whilst leading, he handed the advantage to Romain Fevre. Marvin Muscan went through in 2nd, Ryan Dungey went through in 3rd, as Geiser remounted in 4th, just ahead of the number 16 on the Husqvarna of Zach Osborne. Pushing a little bit too hard though was the Slovenian on the Honda, and he went down again and picked up a slight shoulder injury as he hit the dirt. Hurlings was 5th at that point. Just ahead of him in 4th was Tixier, but Ryan Dungey number 5 and his American teammate from France, Marvin Muscan, battled over 2nd, but it was Muscan who would hang on to that 2nd position. Romain Fevre though, who crossed the line to pick up a much-needed win in race number 2, and 1 point for France. Fevre, Muscan, Dungey, Tixier, Hurlings, the top 5 in race 2. After 2 races, KTM led the way in the manufacturers' points on 23, Husqvarna and Honda rounding out the top 3, and with Zach Osborne going down in the first turn, Romain Fevre and Ryan Dungey were squared on 5. It was going to be a 2-horse race between those two in terms of the overall in the individuals, as everybody else chased. But Geiser got alongside Tixier in what was a very brave move into turn 2. Tixier thought he got it covered. Geiser fought right back, doing all he could to hang on for vital points for Honda. But he started to fade in the closing stages. Jeffrey Hurlings, though, found his way into 3rd with that pass on Tixier. and then went after Geisser. The two world champions duking it out, but Herlings muscled his KTM through and went after Ryan Dungey. At this point, KTM were almost home and dry in the manufacturer's chase, with Marvin Muskin closing in on Geisser and then eventually making a pass. The KTM team were soon placed first, second and third. That was the move that Muscan made on Geisser. In the closing stages of the race, Ryan Dungey made a slight mistake, but that was enough to allow Herlings an easy route around the outside to take over the lead. Herlings was masterful in the final race, and he celebrated knowing that KTM were going to be crowned Manufacturers' Cup champions 2016. It was Dungey who would stand on the top step of the podium, Herlings second, Muscan third. That was the Riders' Cup sorted. KTM's first, second and third. KTM winning the SMX Manufacturers' Cup though by a comfortable margin over Honda and Kawasaki. But what a great night for KTM, with their riders coming home first, second and third overall in the Riders' Cup classification.